Yeah. No front number. Yeah.
Welcome to another story episode of Unashamed Unafraid. James is already laughing.
I am.
We're off to a good start.
It's been a great day.
It has been a good day. Guys, before we
I got
start...
my Halloween socks on.
Halloween socks.
Ding, ding. Like, look at those colors.
Are those stance?
They are.
They look good.
I got my black and orange. So, happy Halloween, everybody.
Something I learned about stance socks recently is that you got to put the symbol on the inside.
That's
your
debatable.
leg.
I've heard people debate.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I see it most of the time, and I'm convinced.
Hey, if anybody here works at Stance, any of our listeners, will you please give us an email and let us know what the appropriate, where to put that symbol, inside or outside? And also, if you want to sponsor us, Stance,
also send us free socks.
send us socks or Unashamed socks. There's our colors. Anyway, go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Tangent, man.
Before we start, I just wanted to make a point that we want to hear your guys' stories. So if you're out there listening right now and you've got a story and you're in recovery, and what I mean by in recovery is you're trying to get recovered. That's all I mean. We want to hear your story. A lot of times people think I have to be a month sober or a year sober or 10 years sober in order to go on the podcast and share my story. And that's not what we expect. If you have a story, we want to hear it, because you is just, I mean, that's kind of the founding principle when Steve started this thing, is just ordinary people sharing their stories in recovery, and we're all doing it together. So speaking of stories, we've got Maddie and Kyle Lofton, and they're going to share our story with us today. How are you guys doing today?
We're excited to be here, right, Kyle?
Excited and nervous, but
Yeah,
excited.
we're excited.
So tell us, let's just start at the beginning. Tell us about your childhoods. What was it like to grow up in the families you were in?
Want me to take it?
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a pretty big family. You call it a mixed. I had adopted siblings, so there was nine kids.
Wow.
And not the most stable household. My parents were never married, my mom and dad, and then I had a stepdad in the house at the time. Great guy, and love him and still have a relationship with him today. But as I got older, my mom got sick and got cancer, and I was the older sibling. The other kids that were older were handicapped, and so I felt that I had to step up and grow up and be the older sibling to take care of them. So the younger childhood was a little chaotic and stressful.
How did playing that role affect you growing up?
It made me feel like I had to grow up, and so I couldn't be a kid.
Yeah.
And express myself or show emotion. It was pretty rough looking back at it now.
What about you, Maddie? What was it like growing up in your house?
My parents are still married. They've been married for 25 years. Pretty cookie cutter life. So I don't really have... We had a great childhood. We're all still very close, and way different than Kyle's. So I feel kind of bad. Like, he didn't deserve some of that stuff, but... You didn't deserve any of it. But,
That's just life.
Complete opposites.
Yeah, so there was just that. Yeah, I love that kind of contrast. Like, I didn't quite understand what things were like for him growing up. What were the cultural scripts in your family surrounding sexuality and pornography? How was that talked about?
The birds and the bees, my mom had a talk with me. I don't know how old I was, but it was not a very good talk. I was confused for many years. And I don't think they ever talked about pornography, but I remember Fight the New Drug came to our school and talked about how the harms of pornography, and I was like, what is this? What is people I was so confused because I was not exposed to anything. So I think my parents were lucky that I was never exposed to anything, because it was not talked about. So I think I would have really struggled had I been exposed. Yeah.
Mine. Honestly, I don't know if I ever had that conversation with my parents. I don't know if it was ever brought up. I know like pornography was like, it was just bad, like sex bad. And so it just wasn't something that was really talked about a lot. It was more of like, just sweep it under the rug and don't bring it up.
You didn't have like the best example of it.
No.
From a young age.
No, my stepdad had it in the house, and so
Wow.
I came across it at a pretty young age.
So that was your introduction to it?
Sorry, what?
Was that your introduction
Yeah,
to pornography?
I came across it in our family computer.
Okay.
If for those that are a bit older, it was a website called LimeWire,
Okay.
and so you could download pirated music. But so I had gotten like a MP3 player iPod, I don't really remember, and I was plugging it in and putting music on it. Came across some files, and I just so happened to click on them, and was like, "What is this?" And curiosity as a kid took over, and I just kept going back to it here and there.
Right. Yeah.
You mentioned sweeping things under the rug. So I'd imagine that's kind of how you reacted in that circumstance when you started going back. You started sweeping it under the rug. Can you tell us about that part of your life growing up?
Yeah, so like as I said, it really wasn't talked about. And so like I remember sometimes like getting caught with stuff that like I found and like just getting in so much trouble.
What went through your mind in those moments?
Like, oh crap. Like I'm like, I knew it was bad. I'm like, I'm not supposed to have this. But yeah, it's like I'd get in trouble and grounded. And like really all that did was make me not want to tell when I was like seeing it or coming across it, or like looking back, I'm like, I had an issue with it and I was too afraid to bring it up and to talk about it. And so it was easier just not to deal with it.
Well, why would you? Because all you got was trouble and yelled at, right? So of course it's like, well, I guess I can't. There's no safety here to talk about this. So like, what other options do you have, right?
Not many.
So you struggled with it throughout your youth?
Yeah. As I said, my mom got sick.
Yep.
And so rather than express my emotions, like being scared, because I'm like, she pretty much almost died. Like it was a rough go. And then like her and my stepdad not getting along and eventually getting a divorce there, and being an older sibling, I was like, I just can't share any emotion. Like I have to be strong for all my younger siblings.
And my mom.
Yeah. And so what was happening, what I didn't realize, is I was just turning to pornography for that release.
Yeah.
So viewing it when I was scared or stressed out, like just for every negative emotion, I was going to pornography.
Wow.
Yeah.
At the peak of acting out, I mean, how often would you say that was occurring for you?
Whether that was childhood, later on, adulthood, like kind of where's your peak activity? What's that looking like for
Would
you?
you say the peak was when we were first married, or
Yeah, I would say the peak was, when we were first married, like engaged and getting close to marry was when like the peak use of it really amped up, unfortunately.
How much? A couple times a day sometimes, right? He worked at a supplement shop where not many people came in, and he was the only one working there, so it was like an addict's worst environment is alone time for 10 hours and your phone. So I can understand why that was,
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. So as you're getting married, you're engaged, the peak of it's going on. I'm going to assume that you did or didn't talk about it prior to getting married.
I asked him if he struggled before. I asked everybody I dated because I know how common of an issue it is. And he said he struggled previously, but he had it under control, which you were in denial.
100% in denial.
Yeah. I knew it would probably be a problem later on in marriage because, I mean, I don't know, I just knew. I did not know exactly how big of a problem it would be. So
let's talk about how big of a problem it would be.
Yeah, it was so
it was a big problem, huh?
I found out like a month after we were married. I remember we were driving back to St. George. We had a 5-hour drive, and I found stuff on his phone within the first 30 minutes. So we had a lovely drive, and I found stuff, and I was like, what is this? I was like, you didn't have to get married. I didn't force you to marry me. Like, do you, like, whatever? And that's when he broke down and was like, I have a pornography addiction and I've been struggling and I need help. And so we went through the processes of...
This is like post-honeymoon? Coming home from the honeymoon? You said St. George. Tell me about
Well, so we lived in St. George,
Got it.
so we were visiting family up north.
Okay.
But this was like a month after we were married.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
But we've kind of gone through, like, he realized he had a problems and he would start going to addiction recovery classes, and then he would get lazy, and then
Sure.
a year would go by up until like the last, I think almost 2 years ago. Our son is almost 2. I found out like a month after I had him that he was lying again for a year plus.
Yeah.
And that was the point where I said I couldn't do it anymore, because I truly did not think I could I couldn't live my life this way, always asking these questions. And I remember very vividly, like, just praying to God, like, I really just need some comfort and I need some help right now, because I don't know what to do, but I just know I can't stay. And I remember very vividly feeling like the warmest feeling, like a hug from my Savior, and also like these promptings of like things that Kyle and I needed to do to grow closer to Christ. And I was like, okay, that's great, but like I'm still not staying. So like I'll do these things. So we made this list and we did that list, and then like a couple months go by and I was like surprised at where we had gotten to. I was surprised that I felt hope, because I was at a point where there was absolutely no hope. But we found hope, and now here we are.
So what happened in the...
Like, she just fast-forwarded through a whole bunch of stuff. She's
There's
like,
been a lot.
babe.
So let's just go all the way back to, like,
rewind.
I found out he was lying. Let's just
Yeah.
back up the bus.
Mhm,
Boom.
sorry.
I found out he'd been lying to me for a year.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? Let's just pause right there,
Yeah.
because I think we have a lot of listeners that are probably right there.
And Kyle, you're not off the hook. I want to hear from you about that after.
That's
as well.
fair.
It's the lying that was the hardest part for me to deal with, because this had happened multiple times. Like when I was pregnant with our first daughter, I believed he was in recovery. He wasn't. I found out a couple months after I had her. Same thing with our son. So like being blindsided, like I felt so stupid. I'm like, how do I not see this? Like I was on his butt, like going to addiction recovery classes, have these porn blockers. I'm like, he's being honest with me. So I felt stupid and ashamed and embarrassed for myself that I let that happen again. And the lies are what I couldn't handle. Like I actually kicked him out of the house. How long ago? It was like 8 months ago. And it wasn't even because he lied about porn. He lied about spending money at the gas station. And that was so triggering to me that I thought he was lying about everything else, that I was like, I need you out of the house because I cannot do this. So the lying is what's been the hardest part.
It's interesting what you said. You said, I felt so ashamed and embarrassed that I let him do that again, which is kind of interesting to think about, that that's the way that you interpreted that message. Would you say just a little bit more about that? That I was the one that let him slip up again?
Yeah, like I did kind of not take blame, but I mean, I did feel like, I don't know, I've always felt like if I was different or other ways, did other things, that he wouldn't struggle. So maybe part of that was me thinking like if I was different, then he wouldn't have had to do that.
Wow.
Which is...
I know it's a very common feeling for, it's taken me many years to know that it's not that, but still I have times where I get triggered easily and I'm like, it is my fault. I'm not enough,
Yeah. Well, I love that you're just naming that out loud. Like that is a very common thing for the spouse to experience, of like, if I was different, if I was nicer, if I was more sexual, if I was prettier, if I was all of those things, then he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just not true.
Nope.
It's not true, because I can't be prettier, can't be funnier. Just kidding.
So
Now you're in the hot seat.
You're in
I'm
the
in the
hot
hot
seat.
seat.
So you lie yet again. You've been burying it for a year, pretending, whatever, going through the hoops.
You've been sweeping it under the rug for 20 plus years.
Yeah. Pretty much.
In your defense, like, I understand why you lied. He doesn't like confrontation. Like, obviously, he didn't want to be a burden. So, go into it.
I think. Yes, like that was just like I guess my pattern was
Right.
I would get caught with it, and then it would all come out, and then take some steps to overcome it. And like this was from youth
Yeah.
up and obviously till we got married, and so it was almost like getting caught was like a release because it was like, oh, it's all out. Okay, I can recover or get over this, and then I would have like a slip up and feel so ashamed over it because I was like, man, I was good for like 2-3 weeks, like what the heck? And I'm like, and I would lie to myself like, that was a one-time thing. It's not going to happen again.
So I don't need to tell her.
Yeah. So like
Famous words.
it's fine. And then next thing you know, I said a year's gone by and she thinks that like I'm in recovery. Like everything's great. In reality, it's like I've just been viewing pornography every day.
And at that point, I could see how, like, you're, 6 months in of lying and you don't even realize it. Like, how do you tell your wife that? Like, I understand that would be hard. So just don't put ourselves in that situation again. I mean, honesty is the first step of recovery, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's why, like,
Accountability.
When he started being honest, that's like when everything started changing. I think you had to be honest with, like, your childhood and how that affected you to be able to deal with it, don't you think?
Well, just that everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, what changed in your dynamic to create a safe place where you could start opening up, Kyle? Because it's like that doesn't
That's
just
a two-way street right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's a two-way street.
It
So
is.
that's like a two-way question, really. It's like, what
mean-
did she do to create a safe enough environment, and what did you do for yourself to create a safe enough environment within your own self to start to face the truth?
It was definitely a lot of trial and error with it.
Uh-huh.
Like, so in the beginning of things, there was like consequences.
Yeah,
for,
he
like,
had to sleep on the ground.
when I would like view, and like later on now, it's like okay, like the
Outside in
consequences
the
are-
dirt?
No, like just on the ground, like in our room or
Like,
in the
cold,
kids'
hard
room.
kitchen. Yeah.
And then it's like later on we like realized okay, like that's actually not a good thing. Like
Right. Good.
because like what it
I
does
was
is
like, we're going to have a chat, you guys.
that was the best first attempt. It sounds like
it created like that environment where like I didn't want to be honest
Yeah.
with it.
I think you can have boundaries, but I think you
Boundaries,
already
yeah.
had an issue with, like, seeing how honesty, wasn't, like, the first option. So it didn't set it up for you where you could be honest.
Yeah.
So
And like in like the road to recovery, I wasn't always leaning on her in the beginning to like be honest with. And so like I found some trusted friends that either had gone through it and like they were in recovery, or that like I just trusted that I could turn to. And I started being honest with them. And then it started to transition over to her to be like a lot easier to be honest with her when I would screw up or like have a slip up or was viewing.
I think it's been a couple years, many years now, that I've been like, if you come to me and tell me you messed up, like, I've been okay with it, haven't I?
Mhm.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
If
It's-
you're honest, then I'm like, okay, what do we do to avoid that next time? Because, I'm like, I have so many bad habits myself that I'm trying to kick, and it's not an addiction. So, like, I got to be not so judgmental type of thing.
Right. So I just want to reiterate, like, I found safe people in my life that I could talk about that wasn't her.
Mm-hmm.
Because currently she wasn't safe to tell. So I had to get people that I was safe with to talk about.
Yeah. And it wasn't anything she was doing. It was just like
Right.
in my head, I'm like, I don't want to hurt her. Like I can't go to her.
Well, other than making you sleep on the ground.
Yeah.
Which might not be conducive to like feeling really safe, to be honest. So
I do feel bad for that. But, like, not really.
So what do you feel like you did in order to get to a place of like, I can be a safe person for him to bring these slip ups to me?
I feel like there's been a lot of things along the road that have happened for a reason.
Yeah.
I think like, I don't know, maybe 6 months after we were married or something, I had found out he was lying again, and I was so angry, and I was like, I am gonna do it back to him. So I went and viewed porn, and there was actually it was like a week that I was drawn into it every single day, and I'm so grateful that it ended like that, but I feel like I had to experience that for a reason. To be able to understand like how addictive it is and how easy it is to access and to turn to that whenever you're feeling down. So that helped me understand and be more compassionate when he comes to me and says like that he's struggling, because I struggle with depression and anxiety, and I have my own unhealthy coping mechanisms. So I've been able to understand more that it's like, well, this is our first time living. We're just trying our best, and sometimes we try to numb the pain with things that aren't helpful, but if we can address that and move forward, then you can get better. So, yeah.
So it sounds like there was some sense of like at first, hey, I'm gonna get revenge, right?
Oh,
and you even
sure.
went to such great lengths that you started watching porn, which I'm assuming you probably wouldn't recommend, but there was some helpful aspects, and that you actually did at least understand a part of what he was going
Yes,
through.
I am grateful for that, but
Yeah.
no, I don't recommend. And it's, don't recommend.
So, as you're now in the stage that you're at, what are kind of some of, you named like, God told me to do this, this, and this, and all of a sudden things started to heal. So I kind of want to know what those things were, and do you still do them?
Yeah.
And then, well, let's start there. and
Okay.
I'll get to my next question.
So the list was like basically
It was super
just
simple.
the fundamentals of our church is, go to church both hours. The second hour really gets me. Go to the temple once a month, say our prayers together, and read scriptures together every day. So literally just things that we should be doing to grow closer to Christ. And I didn't think that doing this could make this much of a difference, but it wasn't that. It was like we did this and the Savior did tenfold. He's like, I feel like he's been healing us this whole time, which it's been amazing. It's been cool.
Well, if you think about it, so it makes sense to me, because part of the problem with depression and anxiety and pornography, is often those are isolating things. And so even whether we're reading, we're praying, we're going to church, we're worshiping together, this is all now a united together front where now we're starting to connect on something.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I'm going to assume if you weren't reading or praying together every day, that was time apart, isolated. But now you're sharing these moments together that are a little more intimate.
Yeah.
Feeling like.
Yeah, no, I like that.
To me, it makes sense to me that would make an impact. So what have been some of the struggles then, or what have been one of the major hurdles that you feel like you've overcome from then to now that has been like a really pivotal changing point for you guys? Either you personally or you as a couple, you personally, or you as a couple?
I'd say the honesty, at least from my side of it, and obviously for her too, was like that was the biggest game changer. It was once I was able to finally start being honest with her on all fronts, messaging her like, hey, I screwed up, I had to slip up, right then and there. That was, I guess you can say, was the building blocks to propelling us to where we are today in our recovery and our healing.
Yeah. And you talk about being honest on all fronts. Is it only around your pornography usage, or were there other areas?
It was over everything. As she mentioned earlier, I have an issue with energy drinks, another unhealthy addiction.
I'm fine with that one.
Maverick burritos, and so.
And we're trying to buy a home, save some money. So we agreed to not spend money.
Yeah. So but I mean, going back, she's like, you have a $10 limit for the week, and I would blow past that so fast and then just not tell her. And so
I'm like, well, why don't you just text me and say you want a burrito? I really won't care. But the lying, bro,
yeah,
not gonna work.
So it was all the thing, not just no lying about anything little, even if it seemed completely harmless.
Yeah, he learned his lesson after that one.
So I'm curious to know, because a lot of times we like to think about recovery in this linear fashion. I decided one day I was going to be honest, and I never lied again. Especially though, and this has been the case for me, so I'm curious how it's been for you, Kyle, is if there's been a lifetime of sweeping things under the rug and it hasn't been safe, and I am scared or ashamed of something, I might revert back. So have there been moments for the two of you where you have reverted back to lying about pornography and you've had to get back on the same track again?
I would honestly, yeah, there wasn't the one incident actually when you sent me, I got kicked out of the house and sent over to your grandpa's.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, like that
What
was over lying about spending money or not spending money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, like, I have blockers on my phone. Like, she can see everything. But, like, I found, I can, on my Nintendo Switch, I was like, I can get the YouTube app. And so, like, I had brought that over there and then had, found stuff and started viewing on that. And then when she invited me back and let me come back home, like after a couple of days, I was like, hey, I screwed up this day. But it had been multiple days that I had done that. And so I actually had to go back to her and be honest with that. But like at first I was trying to hide that aspect, that it was like only one little slip up.
Yeah. What was that like?
It was definitely difficult because I'm like, I had just told her it was only this one day and this one time, when in reality it was multiple days and multiple times. And so it was hard, but like once I did that, like it was like, oh, okay. Yes, it's difficult to be honest and talk about these things, but it's like so much better just to get it out and not hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for the majority of our marriage, you would tell like half truths. Sorry. The majority of our marriage, you would tell me half truths to like get off your trail. And I think that's a big part of like what held you back, is like if you're only telling partial truth, you can't really move forward.
Mm-hmm.
So you're out there on social media now,
Yeah.
Mad Dog,
Diggity Doe.
and people are responding. So tell us what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm just sharing all the lows of being married to an addict. Like I'll share certain experiences that I went through when he was in active addiction, and I have some videos of him sharing about some things and also like giving hope, but just trying to more bring awareness of how common of an issue it is, and there should be no judgment around people who are trying to get help. Don't get it mixed in between. I'm saying like porn is fine, but if you say you have an issue and you're wanting to do better, I have so much respect for you. Like let's get better type of thing.
Right.
So I'm trying to make it more of a conversation, because it's just not talked about, and so many people are like, it's not talked about at all. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So you're out there saying like, hey, we all know that basically everybody's struggling with this.
Yeah.
And most people actually care about getting better and getting it out of their lives. So why are we not talking about this?
Yeah.
And it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah. And I want to show that like you can be a good person and struggle with this addiction. Like I know so many good people that struggle with this addiction. Just because you struggle with this addiction does not mean you're a bad person. And I think Kyle for many years thought that he was addiction just makes you feel like crap. That's just that's part of the shame that makes you not want to get help. And it's like, no, you're just a human that is just hurting and just needs help.
Love that.
So you recently posted a video that got how many views?
6.6 million.
Okay.
And
So it blew up.
It was a video of me crying. And I remember recording. I was home alone. He had the kids. I was sick, so he went up to his family, and then I started feeling better. And then I had this feeling I need to make this video. I recorded it and I cried for like a minute of it. And I was like, I'm not posting that. I'm not posting it. And I called Kyle and I was like, so we have a problem. I feel like I need to post this, but I don't want to post it. And he's like, you need to post it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to post it. I'll never doubt God again, because clearly it needed to be talked about.
Give us the gist of that post, and why do you think it impacted so many people?
Oh, yeah. I shared, so some of the questions I get, one question somebody asked me was, how does porn addiction affect like intimacy in your marriage? And I shared about a specific experience. I just remember you hear that guys want to have sex all the time. So when I got married and he was like not into it as much, I was like, I take it personal. So I would like dress up nice for him for like when he got home to surprise him. And one time like he came home and he was just like, hey, and then like went to playing video games, and it shattered me. And that's happened a couple times, but those are the moments that really make you feel like it is because you're not enough. And that was a hard one to get over. But that's what I shared, and unfortunately so many people said the same thing happened to them, and I hate that for them. But yeah.
And so the hope of that message is, on the other side of that, is what?
It gets better. Like, I now know that it wasn't about me. It was never about me.
Kyle, this one's for you. So, what's been your feeling and reaction surrounding kind of the publicity that you two kind of as a couple have had, and like Maddie finally sharing her story and some of the things that she's experienced, and how has that affected you in your recovery?
Well, if you're familiar with like the 12 steps, especially in like the ARP, the 12 steps like service and like sharing your story. And so I said like 2 years ago, like I was like, no one can know, like we can't, let's just not talk about it. Like I'm just doing my own thing.
That was 2 years ago?
Yeah. Like, yeah. And then like now, like said we're going on podcasts and we're like sharing like intimate details of our relationship, and like not just the good, like, hey, the bad, like of all of it. And so like the more I do it and the more we do it, like the easier it gets. But just like the reactions we get from people of like, I'm so glad you shared that. Like I feel the same way. Like I'm struggling with that too. It's like, okay, like this, we just need to keep sharing. And so it does get easier. And like, yeah, there's times where it's just like, oh, I don't want my family to find out about that, but like that's the past. Like that's something that happened in the past, and like we've worked through it, and we're working through it, and we're going through our healing process, and healing together. And so it's like that, and you can say like that's the side of shame with the addiction. That's like you can't have that, and so you just need to brush that to the side and embrace the ups and downs of recovery, because it's not just a straight shot. Like it is up and down.
You two had mentioned that you actually were invited by someone who knows Oprah to go on her podcast.
Yeah.
Is that true?
One of the producers of her podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. After that video blew up.
So the video I think the video I posted maybe a couple months ago, but it's still getting traction, and she messaged me out like a month ago.
Okay.
So, but yeah, from that.
So what did the two of you say on Oprah's podcast about your stories and about your recovery? Like, what was that conversation?
What was it? I think I blacked out on stage.
And there's like a little bit of the background of like my childhood, and
why
like
you turned to that.
why did I turn to it, and like why I was viewing pornography, and then just like a little bit too of like us and our story with that.
They asked like what I would want to tell to the partners of addicts. And basically, I mean, I just said that there is hope. Like I've been where I knew for certain that I wasn't going to be able to move past this, but here I am, and never in a million years, like, I used to be so embarrassed I wouldn't want to tell my family. Like, it took me a while to tell my parents, and I think I told one friend at the beginning because I was embarrassed about it. And so now where we're here is crazy, but it's, I don't know, like, God works in mysterious ways. And I wanted to say one thing, how you were talking about how recovery healing is not really linear. Like, I for sure expected it to be. And of course I had many heartbreaks along this road, like where I found out Kyle was lying for a year and that happened again. But looking back, we've both discussed, like, he's been moving forward this whole time. Like, certain things have had to happen to either humble us or put us in a situation where we could, I don't know, move forward. So even if it feels like you're not where you think you should be, you're still progressing. So.
Yeah. So to kind of pick up on a breadcrumb that you dropped of, like, you're like, yeah, I figured out that, you know, his addiction wasn't about me.
Yeah.
Or like him coming home and going and playing a video game rather than noticing me wasn't about me. How did you get there?
I think it was a big tender mercy that I got to this point. But going to addiction recovery classes with him and going to therapy with him and really tackling why he turned to it in the first place, and also experiencing it myself for that little time, it's like something clicked in my brain. And, you know, it's so much easier said than done when I try to tell people, like, it's not you.
Yeah.
But it's really not you. Like, I was talking to some other people, like, the hottest celebrities have been cheated on. Was it because they were not hot enough? No, it's because the man was dealing with some issues or something. Like, it's not you. So,
Right. And easier said than
yeah,
done,
I still have moments where I'm like, just got to tell myself that. I'm like, I know, but
yeah.
it could beat you down for sure.
So what keeps you fighting for each other in the moments where it gets hard? Because I'm sure the relationship has not ceased to have hard moments. You're just handling it differently and better now.
Our kids.
Yeah.
Our kids are, that's a huge motivating factor for us to have a happy family, because they are the greatest things ever and they deserve two happy parents. So, like, when things come to a crossroads, we're like, we both want the same thing, so let's just go through this together. Like, choose your hard. We're choosing the hard. We're working through it. And I'm just amazed at how God is using us, how I never would have expected. I never would have expected to share a story.
So, kind of as we're wrapping up, right? We're unapologetically Christian on here. Tell me, what do you know about God or Jesus that you didn't know before this?
You go first.
That's a good question.
It's a
James.
great question. You know, like, you always read, like, the stories on it, like, you know, God loves you, like, Christ doesn't care, like, what you're going through. He just wants you to turn to him and lean on that. And like, oh, he loves me and all this. And so it's like, you always hear that and growing up, and then, like, in the thick of the addiction with, like, pornography, for me, it's like I felt that, like, I had lost that love, like I was not deserving of that. And as we started to turn more towards Christ and center our lives around Christ through this, that was when everything changed. And it was, like, super eye-opening. It's like, okay, like, he still loves me. Even when I screw up, like, that love is still there, and it's not going away. It's always there, no matter how far back I go, or don't want to acknowledge it. It's there. And, like, the second you turn around to accept it, it's right there, like, ready to embrace you. And so, like, yeah, my relationship with Christ through this, like, has grown tenfold. And like I've really come to understand his atonement through this, and like the power that it has behind it, and how much it can help you. And like it was the reason why, it's the reason why we're here today and in this spot and this far in the recovery journey.
Amen.
Okay. And how about for you?
I have just learned that the Savior will carry you through when you think you can't go anymore. Like, I love the poem that's like Footprints in the Sand, because I do look back at moments like when I was freshly postpartum and I was like, I can't do this. And I like don't know how I got through it, but I know how I got through it. Like, he was carrying me through that whole thing. And I know that he just wants effort from, like, he just wants us to turn to him. He's just there waiting for us. And he loves us no matter what. And that will never change. And that is very comforting to know.
Kyle, I liked something that you said, and I want to use this kind of just to tie up the loose ends. And but you mentioned that you said that's how we got this far in our recovery journey, which you kind of hinted that like we still have things left to do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We are this far in our recovery journey, and I think one of the mistakes that I've made sometimes as a host actually is we talk about it like, okay, sweet, recovered, we're good. And we don't paint a realistic picture about that. So in closing, I'm just curious what the two of you have thought together about where you have left to go and where you are within that recovery journey. Because it may not be that you feel like you're never going to relapse again, and it may not be that you've healed all the emotional wounds that you want to heal, and it may be that it may not. You mentioned for sure that you're not going to have moments where you don't have a bad day and kind of freak out a little bit because you're scared.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
So people will ask on my social media, like, is he recovered? And I'm like, he's in recovery. Like, if you're an addict, you're going to just, be in recovery. So we both know that, we hope he doesn't struggle this much for the whole entire life, but we know it can be, like, it's going to be something that's there, and like we know we're going to have to work through it. So we just talk through basically everything, like whenever he's struggling, having a bad day, he's stressed, anxious, anything, just to like prepare ourselves so he can, I don't know. Does that make sense? But I just, go ahead.
My thing. Yeah, I know like in the beginning of my recovery journey, I was like always, I can't wait till this isn't an issue anymore. And like the more I progressed through this and along this recovery journey and this healing, it's like, you're a dude, like you're naturally drawn to that. And like the more I've accepted that, I'm like, this is going to be a struggle the rest of my life. And like, rather than focus on overcoming those desires, it's like, okay, let's just keep working on like the steps to fight those urges when they come. And like, as I said, I just accepting that like this is going to be something I deal with the rest of my life, but like it doesn't have to be to the extent or the level of the struggle that it has been. Like, and it will get easier. And I said, it's like I have times where it's like I've had zero temptations for the last little bit. Like, this is really nice. Like, life is great. And then hard days. And it's just coming, I guess, to accept that, like, it's not going to be just an easy coast down a hill. Like, it's up and down. And that's just what it's going to be like the rest of my life. But it's, like, nothing to be afraid of or scared of. Like I said, you can go back to Christ, just leaning on that and having him at the center. Like, it's all possible. And in the end, it's all going to be worth it. And we'll look back and be like, it was a good journey.
Love it, guys. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We normally will ask people who come on the podcast if they've got a song that represents recovery for them. So I'm curious, do you guys have a song that you'd like to play?
Hard Fought Hallelujah. We heard it on the way here, too.
Yeah, it popped on the way here.
Is that, who's that by?
Brandon Lake.
Okay.
Yeah, I love him. And he also did it with Jelly Roll. Do you know what Jelly Roll is? He's a country singer.
Okay.
It was like crazy little crossover, but
So
You
which
you
which
going to the
version?
concert next month?
Just Brandon Lake's version.
Okay.
They're both great, but just Brandon Lake's.
no, I'm not.
Well, "Hard Fought Hallelujah" by Brandon Lake. That's your song. And is there a reason why that really sticks out to you?
I mean, like, just with the lyrics alone, like, it talks about there's days where it's super easy to put your hands in the air and, like, you know, turn to God and praise him and thank him. And then there's other days where it's a struggle to do that, to reach out to him for the help and to acknowledge him. And so it just goes along those lines that it's not always so easy.
Love it. Guys, if this was helpful to you, share it with a friend. You can find us on social media at Unashamed Unafraid. You can get access to our bonus content and become an outsider on unashamedunafraid.com. And please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can get more helpful and recovery content pumping through your feed. Thanks for being with us, and until next time, continue to live unashamed.
Yeah.